עבדך כמו היה ישתחווה אל מול הדרך ופתח ידיד נפש אב הרחמן ידיד נפש אב הרחמן משוך עבדך אל רצונך ישתחווה אל מול הדרך. Let's go up again. ירוץ עבדך כמו היה ישתחווה אל מול הדרך Janet, do you want to light the candles tonight? Come on up, page 120. Welcome if you're joining us remotely. It's nice to have you with us also, together with those who are here in person. Page 120 to light the candles. Is that mic on?
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat. Should I read one of these?
Yeah.
Okay. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Le'adlik ner shel Shabbat. And I'd just like to add that I hope we'll take that message that we read in English to heart. That we will turn the symbolic gesture of lighting candles into the real life gesture of changing our own actions so that we might become a light unto others. Just as we light these lights, so may we by our lives give light to those who behold us. Let's turn to page 132. Last 4 lines on the page. Speaking of light, it's a common theme throughout all of the Sabbath liturgy. באדוני, והודו לזכר קודשו. שמחו צדיקים באדוני, והודו לזכר קודשו. אור זרוע, אור זרוע לצדיק, ולישרלם שמחה. אור זרוע לצדיק, ולישרלם שמחה. שמחו, שמחו צדיקים באדוני, והודו לזכר קודשו. שמחו צדיקים באדוני, והודו לזכר קודשו. היי לי 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 היי לי 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 היי לי 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 היי לי 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 היי לי 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 Ya la 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 la. Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ya la la ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la la ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 la. 138. So this year we have a particular phenomenon, which is that we have the first 2 days of the holiday, which this year were Thursday and Friday, and those 2 days go right into the Sabbath, into Shabbat. What does that mean? That means 3 days in a row of all of the Shabbat and Yom Tov rules and regulations. And that's really difficult to do. It's hard to prepare a 3-day feast, which is essentially what we're basically doing in every single household everywhere. You're supposed to feast on the first days of the holiday, and you're supposed to feast on the Sabbath to celebrate that sense of satisfaction and liberation, completeness. So our regular schedule of work and rest, where we work for 6 days and rest for 1 day, which is sort of like the sweet spot formula. 1 out of every 7 you're supposed to rest. That gets disrupted because we've already rested on the first 2 days of the holiday, even though, honestly, if you've ever really made the first 2 days of the holiday, it's not rest. Oh my God, especially Passover, it's like the opposite of rest. But it's rest in the sense of its devotion really only to our spiritual and home life, not to our work life or to our commercial or industrial life. So sometimes I think when it's holiday time, it's even more difficult to get into the restful spirit. So I'm going to offer you a little secret. This is how you get into the Sabbath spirit on any given Sabbath, and especially on the ones that are connected to holidays. You try to connect to what is truly transcendent. To forego all those things that are defined by your own limits and your own earthly understanding of things. And to touch something that's old and ancient and eternal. Like the practices of the Jewish people in remembering the Pesach. The marking of the Sabbath and the singing songs to God for the gift and the wonder of the Sabbath. That's what I want us to try to do tonight. So as we sing a little bit more in preparation for the Sabbath services, ourselves in that restful spirit, try to connect to what is eternal and transcendent. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Hishmiyanu el ha'miyuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shem u'tiferet v'letila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Number 5, Hitoreri, Hitoreri, Kiva orech kumi ori, 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 shir daveli, kevod Adonai alayich biglalecha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Number 9, we stand and face the door. Boi b'shalom, ateret Allah, gam b'simcha u'b'tzala, toch emunei am segula. Boi kala, boi kala, lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. You can be seated. middle of page 141. Mikolod Mayim Rabim Adirim Mishperei Yam Adir Bamarom Adonai Dotecha Levenchana v'kodesh Adonai leorech yamim. 142. Doesn't it feel good to slow down? Yeah, that's right. It really does feel good. Take some deep breaths. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Ashar, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Amlach, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni l'shalom, Malachei Ashar, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzveitchem l'shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Could we stand and turn to page 144? Yitgadal ve'yitgadash Shemei Rabbah ve'alma divra chirutei ve'amlich malchutei b'chayechon u'v'yomeichon u'chayei rechol beit Yisrael Bagala, Bagala, ובזמן קריב, ויאמרו אמן. יש מרב המבורך, לעולם לעולמי עולמיה יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחת venechem ata Damichan ve'alma ve'imeru. Amen. 146, we stay standing. Lai la lai 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 lai. Lai 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 lai. Lai 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 lai. Lai 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 lai. Lai 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 lai. Lai 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 lai. Lai 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 lai. Lai 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 lai. Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Good, you can be seated. Let's read together the English on page 148. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzvaot is your name. Ever living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Let's go up. I think it's like half a dozen lines in the Hebrew, Umavir Yom. And we'll sing through the blessing at the end. Umavir Yom, Umevi Laila, Umavdil Ben Yom Uven Laila, Adonai Tzvaot Shemo, El Chai V'Kayam, Tamid Yimloch Aleinu, Leolam Va'ed. Together. Baruch atah Adonai Hamari Varavi. Together the English on 150. Everlasting love you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Ki heim chayenu ve'orech yameinu, uvahem negei yomam v'layla, ve'avatecha al tasir mimenu le'olamim. All together. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. 152, we stand. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. You can be seated. 154 together in the Hebrew. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha ubechol nafshecha ubechol meodecha vehayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavcha hayom al levavecha ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם להיות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם. 158. כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות עושה פלא. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים, זה לי אנו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר, כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, Baruch atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael. Good, let's turn to page 162 at the top of the page. V'shameru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל הודי לעולם, כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת וינפל. Let's stand, page 164. Adonai, שפתי תפתח, ופי יגיד תהילתך. Adoני, שפתי תפתח, ופי יגיד תהילתך. 166. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elokei Avoteinu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor V'Anora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imaot, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. 168. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בגבורות ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל through the end. Or you can take a few moments of quiet reflection, silent meditation, bringing forward whatever's in your heart at this moment. We'll join together in a few moments on page 180. Oh, say shalom, b'meromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imeru amen. Oh, say shalom, b'meromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imeru amen. Lai 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 yai lai yai lai 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 lai. Good, you can be seated. I hope what you're feeling is an open spirit. And with that open spirit, I hope you'll join me in lending our voice to give comfort and support and to pray for healing for those who are in need of it. We turn to page 371 and we'll make a blessing for healing. And if someone close to you is in need of healing, I hope you'll join us and say their name at the right time and lend your voice. Mishaverach Avotenu Vimotenu Avram Yitzchak V'Yaakov Sarivka Rachel V'Leah. May the one who blessed their ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal all those who are ill, including Jeannie. Yeah, we'll start with you.
Linda and Stephen Ely, Rebecca Goodman, Robert Whitlock, Tuli Vittner, Mila Binstock, Shelley Perkle, Tonya Hurst, Jason Miller, Lisa Miller, Diana Berger, Judy Carmichael, Tammy Baker, Lynn Mosley, Sydney McLean.
Harry Katz, Julie Shaven Katz, Felly Bonhawk, Mary D. McBride.
Rachel Brolo.
Mike Ross, Dennis Sadler, Shelley Storch, Reed and Bernard.
Vicky Studer, Michael Ford, David Vittner.
Ann Olin, Susie Horowitz, Phyllis Falk, Ron Robinson, Susan Eilers, Sarah Berlin, Ronnie Eggers, and Heather Murray.
Morrison, Felice Friedman, Katie Adler, Linda and Steve Ely, Andrew Fine, Heather Murray, Margot and Jerry Hunt, Linda and Jerry Jacobson, Nyla Donahue, Luana Bachler, and Sandy Lynn Force.
James Thorne.
Susie Horowitz, Keith Hood, Ken Burdett, Ed Speck, Andrew Wheeler, and Stephen Lewis.
Laura Friedman, Barry Nicholsberg, Wendy Fine, Powell Hessel, Diana Swigner.
May the Blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for their health to be restored and for their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit, and we all say, Amen. Let's sing together. Mi shebeirach avodeinu mekor abracha limotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Again, Mi shebeirach imotenu mikor abracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Good Shabbos. I'm really happy to see everybody tonight. Despite the 3-day Yontif experience, I say, you basically have to lean in and embrace it. Yeah, that's right, 3 days. Yes, I can do that. It's kind of a Marine attitude, I think. But thanks for coming out tonight. I want to begin by teaching a very broad principle in Jewish law and practice, that when two things occur at the same time, how do I know which one I mention first or prioritize first in any blessings or prayers that I'm going to do? And the classic example is one that you might actually experience just like now, right? It's Passover. It could even be Yom Tov, like one of the festival days of Passover, the first or the end days, and be the Sabbath. So do I say, praise are you, God, who makes holy the festival and the Sabbath? Or do I say, who makes holy the Sabbath and the festival? Right? What difference does it make? Sure, it makes a big difference. Anybody here run races for, in order to come in second place? No, right? The one that you get mentioned first is like, I'd like to introduce you to my best friend, this is the one you introduce. It's like, Now, occasionally it's the very last one you introduce, save the best for last. But generally speaking, the things which get mentioned first have a stronger claim on our psycho-spiritual mind. So you'll notice in the prayer services or when the Seder nights fall on a Shabbat also, you say, Mekadesh Yisrael v'Hashabbat and Hazmanim, the festival days. Shabbat comes first. And it actually follows a very broad principle, as I said. In Hebrew, the expression is tadir v'she'eno tadir, tadir kodem. Something which happens often. It's regular. Oh, it's a daily, weekly, it's a regular occurrence. That's a tadir, something regular, frequent. And something which is less frequent. That's what we have now. Shabbat comes how many times a year? It's like 50 times a year, right? Passover comes once a year. Holidays, 8, 9 times, 10 times a year, right? It's not 50, so which is more frequent? The Sabbath happens more regularly. Therefore, you prioritize it. You mention it first. The tadir comes first. The more frequent one is the one that's mentioned. And that happens when it's the new moon, and it happens in a number of other situations, and it happens in the order that you say certain blessings. But the principle remains the same. The things we do more frequently are more important, and they have to be mentioned first. You can't, in other words, lose sight of the Sabbath experience just because you're having a Passover experience. That would make some sense, right? If I'm going through Passover, I don't need Sabbath this week. I just had Passover. That's like mega Sabbath. Doesn't that count for 2 or 3 Sabbaths? No, it does not. It feels sometimes like those big moments define our life and the arc of the calendar of our years. But actually, it's the daily and weekly practices that we have that really much more clearly define who we are. And that's demonstrated not just in Jewish ritual practice, but in all kinds of well-documented and well-understood analyses of how people live best. If you do something once a week for 30 minutes, it's not as good as if you do it 5 days a week for 5 minutes each time. You will actually learn more. You'll become better at it, doing something in a daily, repetitive kind of way. Yes, those big moments, holidays, festivals, gatherings, vacations, bar mitzvahs, births, weddings, funerals, all those days, they're mile markers along the way. But if you add them all up, there's far fewer of those days than there are the ordinary days which we spend, which it turns out are actually extraordinary. They define us. Don't let your Sabbath experience be lost in your Passover experience. That's why even on the Passover, we're obligated to offer the Sabbath offering in the temple. And it's why when we mention both the Sabbath and the holidays in our blessings, we say Sabbath first and then the festival. So, Chag Sameach, a good Passover. But more than that, a good Shabbos and a good Passover. All right, let's wrap up with the end of our service. I need somebody to open the ark, please. And we turn ahead to page 586. 586. Everybody please stand as the ark is opened. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, latet gdula liotzer reshit, shelo asanu k'goyei haratzot, velo samanu k'mishpechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, וגור עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שבות השמיים ויוצר הארץ. ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני, ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני, ושמו, ושמו, ושמו אחד, ושמו you can be seated. This week, we mark the yahrzeits for Murray Weil, Morris Darnowski, Irving Levitt, April Jacobs Johnson, Mo Eagle, Daniel Joseph Middleton, and Samuel Corin. We also continue to call to mind those who've passed in the last year: John McPeak, Dennis Clausen, Ellie Freed, Curtis Young, Dave Bogart, Roland Jolin, Mark Commissaro, and Janice Teplitz. And we also call to mind the passing this past week of the former rabbi of Beth David, Bob Kersner, out in California unexpectedly. We're going to have some opportunity tomorrow morning to share some memories and hold a kind of memorial part to our service tomorrow morning in memory of Rabbi Kersner. So I'll encourage you all to come tomorrow morning and be a part of that. But there's a couple people who also want to say a couple things tonight, and I want to give them a chance to do that. Also, if you're here observing a yahrzeit tonight and I've read out your name, or if there's another yahrzeit you're observing, we ask you also to share a short memory so that their memory can be a blessing to all of us. You want to say a little something? Are there others? Yeah. Are there others? Jeannie, anybody we're online? No? Okay, good.
Can you hear me? Many of you all know that I was president here for years, and Rabbi Kersner was my rabbi, and I just cannot make it tomorrow, so for family obligations, so I really wanted to come here tonight and tell you all that Rabbi Kersner was a great human being. He really, I spent an hour a week with him for 3 years, and we talked about everything. He helped us run this temple. He made me a better president. In all my time that I had with him, I never, ever saw him lash out at anybody, berate anybody, and it's qualities of a human being that you just don't see everywhere. And I just wanted to share that with y'all. I also know that he enjoyed his retirement in California, and I pray and hope that he was happy, and I pray for Bernice and her family, and that everything goes well for them. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Yeah, that's good. Anybody else have something they want to share tonight? No? Again, you can join us tomorrow morning for Shabbat morning services. We're going to do a little bit of Passover liturgy tomorrow morning with some singing from the Hallel. And if we get a minyan, we'll read from the Torah. So there's a lot going on tomorrow. Please join us. If you're a mourner or you're observing Yortzeit, you stand for the Mourner's Kaddish, page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah ve'alma divrach yirutei ve'amlich malchutei v'chai echon u'b'yom echon u'b'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael ba'agala u'b'zman kariv v'yimeru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'lomei olmaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh V'yithadar, v'yit'aleh, v'yithalal, shemei dekudsha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'yimeru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, Hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru amen. You can be seated. A couple of birthdays this coming week. We wish a happy birthday to Wendy Fine and many more. David Rushin, Zoe Walls, and Joanne Stein all celebrate their birthdays this week. So if you see them, please wish them a happy birthday. Anybody else's birthdays? No? My Thursday classes continue this coming week. Thursday will be our last Mishnah class, and after that, we start graphic novels, Hebrew Bible and Jewish history in graphic novel form. Trust me, it's really good. It's a very interesting way to look at the stories and to try to interpret the biblical stories and some passages in Jewish history. Anything else, Jeannie?
Please continue to read your TBD emails for announcements and event details. Join us tomorrow morning as we take time after the service to remember Rabbi Bob Kersner.
Thanks again, everybody, for coming. What a really wonderful turnout tonight. Really great crowd to be here. If you joined us online, thank you also. Let us know that you joined us. We have some refreshments, and everybody's invited for Kiddush and refreshments. Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach.